Hi guys, it's Sam here from Rival Strength, and today I'm going to talk you through how to install the wall-mounted folding rack cable system add-on onto your J-2 series wall-mounted folding rack. So the first thing to really talk through is the tolerancing of the cables before we get started. So one of the biggest design challenges we had when designing this was accounting for everyone's different heights, because we offer so many different heights of the rack itself, and you obviously have complete flexibility as to where you mount the top cross member and the bottom cross member in any of these holes at the top and bottom. So that will affect the cable length that each customer has. So there are a few different places that we can tolerance it to make sure it's perfect for your setup. The first being these 4 holes on the carriage itself. That offers real fine tuning of the cable, so literally a couple of millimeters to centimeters at a time. The biggest one is actually on the carriage itself. So if your cable is coming out a bit short, you can increase the height of the starting position, and that will give you an extra 20 centimeters of cable length. So your cable could come out to here and your starting position would be a little bit higher. So that's the main place that you can tolerance it. And then you also have the ability to change the position of the upright itself. So if you position the upright closer to the front upright, that will give you more cable length because the cables will all be moved forward, giving additional length. So we've got ours positioned with 1 hole visible in the furthest right position on the top cross member. You can only really install it in that position if you have the stringer bars, as when you're using bumper plates on the actual carriage, and obviously you have the rack in its outward position swing round, that will be too close if you don't have the stringers. The stringers add just a little bit of distance to allow you to use bumper plates. So we recommend installing with 2 holes visible at the end of the cross member. You can even go with 3 holes if you want to bring it closer and add more cable length. But we recommend, 2 holes up there. But when you're building the rack, don't tighten anything too much. So you have that movement. You can just slide it forward, slide it backwards. It's not too hard to do to make sure that you have the perfect cable length when you're using it. So the first thing to do when you're adding the cable system add-on is to remove these 2 bolts and a bolt down low so you can angle the upright off to be able to slide the carriage on, and then attaching this pulley wheel up at the top. So I'll quickly do that now. Once you've got the upright separated off, you just need to grab the carriage with the pulley wheels on the outside. So when it's on the rack, the pulley handle is on the outside of the rack, and then you just slide it over the top. Like so. So the next thing to do is to set up the top pulley wheel assembly. So the first thing that you need to grab is the actual bracket for the pulley wheel, 2 M14 by 90 bolts with 4 washers, 2 nuts, and then the M10 by 45 with 2 washers, a nut, and then the cable safety. So the first thing to do when you're setting up this is to start with the actual pulley wheel. So put a washer on through there. The pulley wheel goes on, and then the safety, the last washer, and then the nut. So just loosely tighten that. Don't tighten anything up till the end. So that's that done. And then you can start with the actual bolts to attach onto the front of the rack. So you would set it up just like so, and then attach it onto the front of the upright with the last 2 washers and the nuts. So when attaching the assembly that we've just made, you want to put it up at the top, and then attach the cross member on, and then tighten it up with the last 2 washers and the 2 nuts that we had. And then you want to obviously make sure that the pulley wheel is on the outside like so. And then these can be tightened up fully, as there's nothing else to do up in this section. So the actual upright can be tightened onto the cross members again. So once you've tightened up that element, you can just go and we can then do this bottom pulley down at the front here. So I'll show you the setup for that now. So the next thing you do to make this pulley setup at the bottom front of the cable system is the M10 by 110. 2 washers, a nut, all for the M10 bolt, the cable system safety, the spacer, a pulley wheel, and 2 of the bushings. So what you need to do to attach this on is first start with the bushings. They go in the holes here. If you have our older style J2 folding rack, you won't have this hole at the front here. You'll have one a little bit further back. You can use that. It's absolutely fine. So yeah, start with the bushings there. You then want to grab the bolt with a washer, put on the washer, the safety, the pulley wheel, and the spacer, like so, and then attach it so it's on the outside of the rack, push it all the way through, and then secure with the washer and the bolt. And again, just leave it loose for now, and we can tighten everything up at the end. So continuing down at the base of the rack, we can attach on these triangular plates with the pulley wheel here down at the bottom of the rack on this side. So for this step, you want to have 2 of the mounting brackets, an M14 by 90 with 2 washers and a nut, the M10 by 120, 2 washers and a nut, the cable safety, 2 bushings and a pulley wheel. And then we attach these onto the bottom cross member here. I'm going to mount it with 1 hole available at the end on the cross member. You can only really do this if you have the stringers. As I said at the start of the video, that will mean the cable system is too close to the wall and the plate will hit it. So I would recommend installing in this position, but you can kind of do either. You could even go here, but for most people, mounting with 2 holes here will be absolutely perfect. But yeah, you have that flexibility if you need it. So to start, you can start with the M14 by 90, attach that on into this position, just let it rest. And then you want to do the actual pulley wheel setup. So you'll start with a washer, the cable safety, the actual pulley wheel, and then you want to put the bushings in, attach that through, and then grab the other side again with the bushing. Oops. Inside that part, and then thread it through and then tighten it off with the last washer and nut. And again, we can leave it loose for now, just in case if things need to be moved, but that's how you do that setup. So the last of the pulley wheel assemblies is this section up at the top here with these 2 pulley wheels. So we can go through that part now. So what you need here is 2 of the upright brackets, 2 pulley wheels, 2 M10 by 120s with washers and the nuts, 2 cable safeties and 4 bushings. So similar to the previous steps, we can start by doing the cable, the pulley wheel setups. So you want to start with the bolt, a washer, the cable safety, and then the actual pulley wheel, and then repeat again, washer, cable safety, and then the pulley wheel. And then from there, we can grab one of the pulley wheel setups we just made with 2 bushings and the bracket, and then add the bushings in onto either side. and the pulley wheel, grab the other, place that through, and then insert onto the top cross member, making sure the bushings secure in fully, just like that. And then again, the two bushings, the bracket, insert those in, and then attach it onto the other side. And then secure it with the washer and nut. And then to attach the actual upright on with the trolley, you just need two M14 by 90 with washers and the nuts, plus the carriage and your upright. So before you add the carriage onto the upright, you just want to go and tighten up this bolt, as once you've installed it on, you won't be able to reach it with the Allen key. So do that before attaching it onto the upright, which I'll show you next. So to make this step a bit easier, you want to grab your detent pin, which you can put just through the 1-inch holes near the bottom. That will just hold the trolley in place. You want the 1-inch holes facing forwards, just the same as on your upright, the 1-inch holes facing forwards. You can also have the numbers facing forwards. And then the trolley system mounts sideways. Just like that. So you've got the 1-inch holes facing forwards and then the actual trolley on the side. You then position that inside the brackets and secure on with your M14 by 90s, just like so, in any of the available holes where the slot is. And again, we can leave it loose for now and tighten everything up at the end. So the next step is adding the cable system. So you want to uncoil the cable so it's nice and loose, and then you want to grab this end, not the one that you attach the carabiner onto, and you start by threading this through the center of the carriage in between the two pulley wheels, and then up the top front pulley, then to the middle one, and then all the way down into the actual carriage, around that pulley, and then loosen it off as you go. It could get knotted. And then you go back up that last pulley all the way down to the bottom, and then around the front bottom pulley, and then up into the carriage. And you might need to change the position in the 4 holes that you put it in here. It's one of the tolerancing zones. So I'll loosely attach that on, and you can see the cable's quite loose, especially compared to this side. So I can lower that down 1 hole, and now the cable's nice and tight. I could then adjust it here if I need it a little bit more tight. I could come up a bit, but if I come up any higher, you'll see the carriage starts lifting. So I'm in the perfect position here, and yeah, should be ready to go once I've tightened and done the finishing touches. So the next thing to do is to go round and tighten on all of these bolts and nuts, and make sure these are all secure. So you need these to be facing, this is in the wrong position, so you'll need it to be facing on the outside of the cable. It's there to hold it in place so the cable doesn't jump off the pulley wheel. So either kind of like 90 degrees coming out or 45. So that's holding it in place. We've got these at 45 degrees secure there. And then similar down here at 45 degrees, and then this one coming off to the front. And as I say, that will just keep the pulleys in place and hold them tight. So I'll go through now and tighten up all of the pulley positions and all of the nuts and bolts on the carriages. So I always recommend to start top down so you know you don't miss anything. So just work your way down and tighten everything up as you go. So For this position, if it's not in the right place, as I mentioned before, you can just easily rotate it around and then tighten everything on in the right position. And that is everything once you've got all of the nuts and bolts tightened. So you can give everything a bit of a check over, make sure all the pulleys are on the wheels nicely, make sure nothing's kind of touching the cables, and then give it a bit of a test. So the weight plate sleeves just hook on just like so. You can use it either outside the rack, you can use just one inside the rack, or you can use them both together. The choice is yours there. So whack on one of your plates and everything is working smoothly. So yeah, I hope that helps. And if you have any questions, please do let us know. Send through any photos once you've got them installed. We'd love to see it. And yeah, enjoy.